Okay, today we're looking at multi-step equations. It's just an extension of what we've been doing the past couple of days solving regular equations. We're just throwing in a couple more steps. So let's see what those steps might be. Our first problem is 8x minus 3x minus 10 equals 20. Now, our first step should be to simplify wherever we can. And we notice that we have like terms on the left-hand side. So when we combine those, what do we get? 5x. So now we have 5x minus 10 equals 20. Now this looks like a type of problem we solved yesterday. And we know that our next step is to add 10 to both sides, giving us 5x equals 30. And then divide by 5, giving us x equals 6. And what should we do when we think we found the answer? Check. Plug 6 back in up here. Does 8 times 6 minus 3 times 6 minus 10 equal 20? Well, 8 times 6 is 48. 3 times 6 is 18. And so we have 48 minus 28, which does equal 20. So for the rest of the lesson, I'm going to let you do the checking on your own, and I'm going to walk you through the solution. For problem 2, we have 7x plus 2 times the sum of x and 6 equals 39. Now our first step is to simplify where we can. So what can we simplify on the left? We can use our distributive property. Now we have 7x plus 2x plus 12 equals 39. And we see that we have like terms that can be combined. That gives us 9x plus 12 equals 39. Again, we're down to a problem like we solved yesterday. We subtract the 12 from both sides, and then we simply divide, leaving us with x equals 3. For example 4, we're going to take a slightly different approach. This is example 4 on page 149 in your book. Now, we could use the distributive property here, but if we use the distributive property, we're going to have some strange fractions to deal with. That's going to give us 9 over 2, which doesn't become a whole number. That's going to give us 15 over 2, which doesn't become a whole number. So we have a different idea. Instead of using the distributive property, let's get rid of that 3 over 2 first. We can do that because the whole side is being multiplied by 3 over 2. It's not just an x or just another term. So to get rid of that 3 over 2, we remember that we multiply by its reciprocal. Now when we multiply by its reciprocal over here, we're going to have negative 48 over 3. And what's negative 48 divided by 3? Negative 16. So now we have 3x plus 5 equals negative 16. And again, we have a problem that we know how to solve. By subtracting 5 from both sides and dividing by 3, we get the answer x equals negative 7. Let's try a word problem. A flock of cranes migrates from Canada to Texas. The cranes take 14 days to travel 2,500 miles. The cranes fly at an average speed of 25 miles per hour. How many hours of the migration are the cranes not flying? So we know that the distance equals rate times, I'm going to alter this a little bit, times time flying, because some of their travel time was spent resting. So we know that they traveled a total of 2,500 miles. And that when they were flying, they were going 25 miles per hour. The question is, how much time did they actually spend flying? Well, their total time they spent on the trip was 14 days or 336 hours. You just multiply by 24. So if x is the time that they're not flying, then 336 minus x is the time that they are flying. So now I can solve this problem. Now, I can either use my distributive property, or I can divide both sides by 25. And in this case, since 25 goes into 2500 so neatly, it might be easiest to divide first. Now, here's the tricky part. That 336 is attached to the x with a subtraction symbol, but it's a positive 336, so to get rid of it we need to add a negative 336. It's not about the symbol between them, it's about whether or not the 336 is positive or negative. So when we subtract, remember when we have different signs, we just subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. That gives us negative 236 equals negative x. So if negative 236 equals negative x, then x must equal positive 236. There's our answer. Now, I'd like you to try a couple of problems on your own. We'll give you 2 to do. First one is 2w plus 3 times w plus 4. And the second one is 2 over 5 times 3r plus 4 equals 10. So pause the video, work through those problems, and when you think you've got the answers, start the video back up and we'll check through. Okay, so on the left, we can't use that tactic of dividing by 3 because that 3 is only attached to this piece, not the 2w. So instead, we're going to start with the distributive property. 2w plus 3w plus 12 equals 27. Then we can add our like terms, giving us 5w plus 12 equals 27. Now we see what we're looking at. We can subtract the 12 from both sides, leaving us with 5w equals 15. We divide, giving us a solution of w equals 3, which we can check to make sure it's right. With the second equation, we're going to use that technique of multiplying both sides by the reciprocal, which we can do because that 2/5 is a factor of the entire left side. When we multiply on the left, that cancels out those fractions, leaving us with 3r plus 4. And 10 times 5 over 2 on the right gives us 25. We know our next step is to subtract 4, giving us 3r equals 21. And dividing by 3 gives us r equals 7. Okay, that's how we solve multi-step equations. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can watch the video again if you need to see something repeated. If you're all set, you can begin on your homework.